Hello friends, my name is Emile and welcome back to some more Reach the Peak, the show where you guys recommend the cars and then I take them up our twisty hill climb course to see which one can come out on top. As always, we have 5 cars here today and we're going to be kicking things off with one of my favourite super saloons of all time. Unfortunately, this car never really got out of concept stage, but nevertheless, it is the 2013 Infiniti Q50 Eau Rouge, 560 horsepower, 442 foot-pound of torque, 3,836 pounds of weight. This is the most powerful vehicle here today, it is the torquiest vehicle here today, it's the heaviest vehicle here today, and it's the highest in PI, S1 class, 847 in PI when equipped with the snow tyres. So the Q50 Eau Rouge, this is probably one of my favourite super saloons, and I'm really bummed out at the fact that they never really got to make this thing. Essentially what it is it has a GTR engine, and I believe most of a GTR powertrain, in just a standard Infiniti Q50 body, and admittedly I do really like the way the Q50 looks. The result is a very, very quick super saloon, which when it was proposed to be made, this thing would have easily dominated your BMW M5s and E63s, and it probably still would. It's an insane car. Anyways, as far as actually driving this thing up here goes, how does it drive? It's fantastic. Loads of four-wheel drive traction, loads of easy usable power. Very, very good car, gets its power down very well, no real issues on the handling front. This is probably going to be the fastest super saloon up here in terms of just how quick a time it will set as well as its overall statistics. This really is just a fantastic, fantastic vehicle. Again, really a shame that Nissan will never really commission this thing to be built properly, because it is just a fantastic vehicle. If you haven't driven the Infiniti Q50 yet, definitely go check it out. It is one of the best value for money cars in this game. I believe it costs around 100,000 credits, and you know, for that you get loads of power, loads of torque, you get lots of luxuries, and it's all very nice. And this thing, honest to God, this thing could be a supercar killer with some upgrades in it. Phenomenally good car, this. Really enjoyed driving up here, as it turns out it can be a pretty decent rally car as well, so if you take nothing else away from this video, go drive the Infiniti Q50 Eau Rouge. Next up, a car which you've probably all driven. This is the 1997 Nissan Skyline R33. It has 278 horsepower, 271 foot-pound of torque, 3,393 pounds of weight, and it's an A-class car, 779 in PI when equipped with the snow tyres. So the R33, probably my favourite of the Skylines when I'm not thinking. The reason I say that is because my favourite Skyline is probably the R31. I really, really like the R31, but I also really like the R33. If you're talking about my favourite GTR, the R33 is my favourite of that, so there you go. Anyways, the R33, I just like it because of the way it looks. It's my favourite looking of all the Skylines, and it's probably the one that I would end up owning just because it's the cheapest of all of them as well, which is quite nice. Anyways, onto the actual driving of this car. It's a great car. It really is a great car. Handles very, very similar to the R34 that went up here not long ago. Admittedly, the R34 does definitely have the advantage in terms of power. There is no denying that. And the R34 is a better car overall, but the R33 is still pretty fantastic. The one Achilles heel of this car is the gearbox. Gearbox on this car is no good. The ratios are just way too spread out to really make it effective up here. Or to be fair, it's not really effective at anything other than just a highway bombing. It just isn't fantastic gearbox wise. The ratios are just too long on it. And that is a bit of a shame, because otherwise this would be a fantastic car. If it had a big close ratio gearbox in it, I have no doubt this thing could be a second or two quicker up the hill than what it was, but nevertheless, still a very, very good car, very respectable car. Of course, you know, you probably already own one of these, but if you're looking for a rally car, and you don't want to go down the Evo and Prezza route, R33 certainly is not a bad choice, certainly. Although, yeah, I mean, for my money, the R34 is probably the better car, but the R33 is a lot cheaper than the R34. So yeah, I would go with the R34, or go with the R33 just because it is a lot cheaper, so you can do a lot more with it. Yeah, really cool car. Next up, we move on to a car which I wasn't really sure about how this would cope going into this hill climb run. This is the 2014 Alfa Romeo 4C, 240 horsepower, 238 foot-pound of torque, 2,072 pounds, making it the lightest car of the day. It is an S1 class car, 809 MPI. So, essentially the 4C is mid-engine, rear drive, which, as we've proved before, rear drive is probably the worst thing you can be up this course. Not a lot of power though, not a lot of weight, so I was kind of curious to see how this would do. Honestly, it was pretty darn great. A really great car. If you look statistically at this vehicle, it isn't too dissimilar to the Lancia Stratos. Admittedly, it has more power than Stratos, and I believe it actually weighs less than Stratos as well, because Stratos had a V6 in it. But this obviously has harder suspension, so maybe that'll, play against it. But the 4C really was a very, very good vehicle, very quick vehicle. And it just goes to prove what I was saying with the Lotus 340R last episode, But up here, maybe low power cars are the best way to go. Before, we'd had low power cars up here and they hadn't done particularly well, and I was like, oh, maybe, low power isn't really what you want. What you really want is 300 horsepower, or around about that, usable power. But as it turns out, these cars aren't pretty darn quick when it comes down to it. So, I do really like the 4C, gotta be honest. This is one of my more favourites of the modern sports cars. Probably my favourite, actually, because it's an Alfa Romeo. How can you not love it? It's a great looking car, it's a great handling car on track. On dirt, it does, in the snow, it did struggle a little bit with oversteer. The rear end did like to poke its way out on here, but then again, so did it on the Strato, so no real thing there. Almost hit a wall there. I didn't realise actually quite how close that was until watching this back. Yeah, 4C is an incredibly good vehicle. You should probably drive one of these anyway if you hadn't already, but as it turns out, as far as making a rally car on this thing, maybe not quite as terrible an idea as you may think, which is of course good. Anyways, moving on next to a car which is not so good. This is the 2002 Acura RSX. This thing has 200 horsepower, 142 foot-pound of torque, 2,820 pounds of weight. It is the least powerful vehicle here today and the least torquey vehicle. It's also the lowest in PI, B-Class 699 in PI. Of course, this is a front-wheel drive car, and as we've proved in the past, front-wheel drive cars do fairly well at this course. The RSX, though, is an interesting case. I really do like the Acura RSX. I really like the Acura RSX. In fact, I'd buy one of these things if I could. I've always just really liked the shape of them, and they're just cool cars. Here's the issue, though. The Acura RSX in Forza Motorsport 6 had horrible, hateful handling, and I was kind of hoping that hadn't been dragged along into Horizon 3. Unfortunately, it has. This car has horrific on-power understeer. If you put the power down through a corner, this thing will just charge its way straight into a wall. It's not a good handling front-wheel drive car. Once it's not in the corners, it's not bad, It's very comparable to the Civic Type R that we had around, Type R. This does have more power than Type R. It has more torque than a Type R. I believe it's about 30 horsepower, about 20 horsepower more, and it's up about 30 torques on the Type R, which in theory should give it the advantage. The problem this car has, of course, is the fact that because it has these understeer issues and the Civic Type R hasn't, it'll be really interesting to see which one of these vehicles did come out on top at the end of the episode. Yeah, it does disappoint me because, again, the RSX is a really lovely car. I like the RSX a lot, but just for whatever reason, the Forza devs have just coded it to be one of the worst front-wheel drive cars in the game. And, I've driven a lot of front-wheel drive cars, both in Forza Motorsport 6 and here, and yeah, this is one of the worst front-wheel drive cars in terms of handling capabilities. It just isn't there. It is a bit of a shame, to be fair. Because, again, once the car isn't suffering from understeer, it's fine. It's great, in fact. It's a really good car, It's solid, certainly, especially for a front-wheel drive Honda derivative, but yeah, it is just a shame. Also, you may notice the Burnout 2 skin on this car, because why not? Yeah, anyways, Burnout 2, Burnout 3, and I think that car was in pretty much every Burnout game, but nevertheless, we go down to our final car today, another somewhat interesting one. This is the 1990 Chevrolet Camaro IROC-Z, 245 horsepower, 345 foot-pound of torque, 3,627 pounds of weight, A-class car, 725 in PI when equipped with the snow tyres. So, the Camaro then, this is the first Chevrolet we've actually had up the hill, which is good, of course, I guess, even though I don't really like Chevrolets, but whatever. This is, to be fair, actually, this is my favourite model Camaro. This is the only Camaro that I would actually ever consider buying with, like, real cash money. For some reason, I just like this body style, although I'm fairly certain this car is pretty terrible. I mean, this is the highest spec model, and it has 245 horsepower, so yeah. Anyways, the Camaro IROC-Z, what's it like to drive? It is a 90s muscle car, and you can certainly tell that, or sort of 80s going into 90s. And you can tell that by the way this thing drives, because it doesn't particularly handle very well, it's not particularly fast, and by far and away the worst thing about this car is the gearbox. It is worse than the R33's gearbox. This thing just lugs. It lugs so badly. It's another car that if it had a good gearbox in it, I have no doubt this thing would be quicker if it had some close ratio box, but I'm fairly certain this thing has a 4-speed. I barely left second gear, to be fair, so I don't really know sort of where the gearing runs out on this car, but I'm fairly certain this is a 4-speed car, and this car just lugs. You'll see it coming around here now, just how many issues it has getting up this hill. It's just lugging constantly. Look, just, I mean, granted, maybe I should have been in first gear for that corner, but even still, I mean, it's got 345 foot-pound of torque, which is a lot of torque. It should, in theory, be able to pull itself out there, but it just doesn't do well, which is a bit of a shame. Other than that, I mean, it's a fine car. Handling-wise, I said it's bad handling. It's not terrible. It will slide. It does get a hell of a lot of wheel spin going on, but it's not that bad through the corners. There are much worse muscle cars through the corners, but it's kind of like the RSX in the sense that this car is a little bit of a disappointment. But we will have to see how it places on our leaderboard. Speaking of the leaderboard, we come to it now, and the fastest car today is the Infiniti Q50 Eau Rouge, going into 11th with a 206.493. Insanely quick time from the Infiniti there, beats the Gymkhana Focus by almost a second, beats a Ferrari 458 Italia by over 2 seconds. It's not too far off the Defender Upgrade Hero. Honestly, that Q50 is an insanely quick car. Moving down the board to some more, the Alfa 4C also impresses, going into 22nd with a 214.468. Not too far off a Ferrari 512 Testarossa. That's insanely quick when you consider the power difference between those two cars. Nissan Skyline R33 goes into 23rd with a 215.736. Again, another really good time. Does beat the Lotus 340R from last time. Quite far off the R34, though honestly I wasn't expecting it to get anywhere near its slightly newer sister. Moving down the board some more, we find the final two cars for today. Acura RSX goes into 49th with a 226.780. Does beat the Civic Type R by about 2.5 seconds, but I'd still take the Civic Type R, and I'm going to put that down to the fact that the Civic Type R went round in the second episode. Camaro IROC-Z goes into 52nd with 228.448. Pretty decent time, beats the BMW 2002 Turbo by a fraction. Beats the Plymouth Cuda by 0.3 of a second, so a decent time from the Camaro considering the issues I had with that car. Anyways friends, that is going to be it for this episode of Reach the Peak. If you have any cars that you'd like to see go up the hill, then please feel free to request them down below in the comments section. With that all being said and done, thank you all very much for watching friends. My name has been the Real Emile, and until next time, farewell.